So today we'll be reading from the glorious Srimad Bhagavatam, fourth canto, chapter 29, entitled Talks Between Narada and King Prachinibahi. And we'll be doing text 53 today, which I'm probably going to butcher because I think this is the Govinda prayer meter. Anyways, Shudrang Charang Suma Nasang Sharane Mathitva Raktang Shadang Hrikanaksamasu Lubdhakarnam Agre Vrikanasuritripo Viganaya Yantam Prishte Mrikam Mrikaya Ludha Prishte Mrikam Mrikaya Ludha Kapana Bhinnam Shudrang Charang Sumanasang Sharane Mithitva Raktang Shadang Krikana Samasu Lubdhakarnam Agre Vrikana Sutripo Viganaya Yantam Prishte Mrika Mrigaya Ludha Kabana Bhinnam Kshudrang Charang Sumanasang Sharane Mithitva Raktang Shadangriya Samasu Lubdhakarnam Agre Vrikana Sutripo Vignaya Yantam Prishthe Mrikam Mrigaya Ludha Kavana Bhinnam
Sumanasam Sharane Mitita
Shudrang Charang Sumanasam Sharane Mithitva
Saram Viganatam Arnam
Raktang Shadangri Ganasam Masaludha Karnam Agre Vrikana Sutripo Vignaya Yantam Prishte Mrikam Mrigaya Ludha Kavana Bhinnam
Shudrang Charang Sumanasam Sharane
Shudrang Charang Sumanasam Sharane Mithitva Raktang Shadangri Ganasama Saludha Karnam
Viganaya Yantam.
Agre Vrikana Sutripo Viganaya Yantam.
Ishte Mrigam Mrigaya Lutakapana Vindram.
Ishthe Mrigam Mrigaya Lodakavana Mengam.
Shudram Charam Samasam Sarane Vitekvam.
Shudram Charam Samanasam Sharane Miketva.
Akram Sadam Vikanasama Sulam Tatana.
Ratam Shadam Vigana Samasulu Dhalanam. Agre Vikana Sutripo Viganaya Yantam. Ishthe Mrigam Mrigaya Lodakavana Mengam. Okay. Since I forget this, like I always forget. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya. Naram Chaiva Narottamam. Devam Saraswatim Vyasam. Tato Jayam Udirayat. Nasa Preshwa Bhadrisho. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttam Shloke. Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Okay, now we can properly continue. Synonyms. Kshudram, on grass. Charam, rising. Sumanasam, of a beautiful flower garden. Sharane, under the protection. Mithitwa, being united with a woman. Raktam, attached. Shatangri, of bumblebees. Gana, of groups. Samasu, to the singing. Lubdha karnam, whose ear is attracted. Agre, in front. Vrikan, tigers. Asutripa, who live at the cost of another's life. Avikanaya, neglecting. Yantam, moving. Prishthe, behind. Mrigam, the deer. Mrigaya, search out. Lubdhaka, of a hunter. Bana, by the arrows. Bhinam, liable to be pierced. Translation, purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. My dear King, please search out that deer who is engaged in eating grass in a very nice flower garden along with his wife. That deer is very much attached to his business and is enjoying the sweet singing of the bumblebees in his garden. Just try to understand his position. He is unaware that before him is a tiger, which is accustomed to living at the cost of another's flesh. Behind the deer is a hunter who is threatening to pierce him with sharp arrows. Thus, the deer's death is imminent. Please repeat after me. My dear King, please search out that deer who is engaged in eating grass in a very nice flower garden along with his wife. That deer is very much attached to his business And he is enjoying the sweet singing of the bumblebees in his garden. Just try to understand his position. He is unaware that before him is a tiger, which is accustomed to living at the cost of another's flesh. Behind the deer is a hunter who is threatening to pierce him with sharp arrows. Thus the deer's death is imminent. Purport. Here is an allegory in which the king is advised to find a deer that is always in a dangerous position. Although threatened from all sides, the deer simply eats grass in a nice flower garden, unaware of the danger all around him. All living entities, especially human beings, think themselves very happy in the midst of families, as if living in a flower garden and hearing the sweet humming of bumblebees. Everyone is centered around his wife, who is the beauty of family life. The bumblebee's humming may be compared to the talk of children. A human being, just like the deer, enjoys his family without knowing that before him is the factor of time, which is represented by the tiger. The fruit of activities of a living entity simply create another dangerous position and oblige him to accept different types of bodies. For a deer to run after a mirage of water in the desert is not unusual. The deer is also very fond of sex. The conclusion is that one who lives like a deer will be killed in the due course of time. Vedic literatures therefore advise that we should understand our constitutional position and to take to devotional service before death comes. According to the Bhagavatam 11:9-29, Ladva suduravam bahusam pavante manusyamartha taranitya vihadiraha turanang tetanapatir anumritu yavan nishayasai yavishaya kalu sarvatasya. After many births, we have attained this human form. Therefore, before death comes, we should engage ourselves in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. That is the fulfillment of human life. Om Aganathamaranasya Ginanjana Salakaya Chakshu Umlitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mayam Dharati Swaparantikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinambadha Jagapate Gopisha Gopaka Kanta Raha Kanta Namosate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishapano Sutadevi Pranamam Hare Pre Vanchakalpatru Hyashta Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, recap on today's verse. My dear king, please search out that deer who is engaged in eating grass in a very nice flower garden along with his wife. That deer is very much attached to his business, and he is enjoying the sweet scene of the bumblebees in his garden. Just try to understand his position. He is unaware that before him is a tiger, which is accustomed to living at the cost of another's flesh. Behind the deer is a hunter who is threatening to pierce him with sharp arrows. Thus, the deer's death is imminent. So, we're focusing on this deer that's enjoying in his beautiful garden along with his partner. And little does he know that there's death on both sides. Either he's going to be attacked by the tiger or he's going to be pierced by the arrow of the hunter. But he's unaware of this. He's uh, too enamored with his partner and the garden and the humming of the bees. So at one point or another, this is us. And this material world is set up with so many different kinds of allurements. And it's set up to do so because this was our choice ultimately. We wanted to live separately from Krishna and enjoy separately from Krishna. So with the help of Durga Devi, Maya, she knows what we want. She knows what we think we would like to enjoy. So she gives us so many options. Okay, I know last time you liked this, so here, let me give it to you in this form or that form. Or I think since you like this, you might also like this as well. So boom, and we get caught up with all these different allurements that pull us in all kinds of different directions, whether we ultimately really want that or not. So according to these desires, we're gifted a body with its own sense objects. So we have these senses and they have their sense objects. So we have eyes, which generally they want to see something beautiful. And we have a nose and it wants to smell something pleasant, something aromatic. We have a tongue and it wants to taste something very palatable. We have ears and we want to hear something that sounds nice to us. And we have skin and we want to touch things, maybe something soft or something warm. So we have these different senses that want to be engaged in some type of way or another, in some way that we could perceive this world and perceive some form of enjoyment through this body. And it's all different according to the different bodies that we receive. You know, for a pig, they like nasty things. They, they roll in the mud. They eat their own stool. They're not so beautiful, but they wouldn't hesitate to mate with their own mother or sister. And then you got a parrot, on the other hand, real beautiful feathers. They eat things like seeds, nuts, fruits, insects, and they're monogamous, which honestly I didn't really know that, but they choose a partner and they will stick with them for life and help each other out in life. So humans are excluded from these type of things. We have our own sense objects ourselves, and to our own discretion, we enjoy accordingly. So, however, there's a difference between animals and us. But what is that difference if we're all eating, sleeping, mating, and defending? You eat things palatable to your taste. You find a nice place to take rest. You find someone that you think you would like to have as your mate. And you defend what you think is yours or that which is in your possession. Which animals are doing this as well. Everyone is doing this in one way, shape, or form. And in this, we're believing that we're this body and therefore anything to do with this body. So I believe that, I am Mr. So-and-so. This is my wife, my family, my friends. Those are my enemies. I'm from this town, this state, this country, and people that aren't from those same things as me, I have a problem with them. I see differences with them. So many different things. If you come and take this, I'll fight you for it. So many different things coming from this bodily conception and the relations coming from that bodily conception. So just like this verse in this purport, we find a partner and make them our whole life object of worship. And then we get enamored by the little voices of the children that come from that relationship, out of that union, and they become our whole object of worship. Not that family life is bad, given that it's done in the proper way. But, however, most people in the world, they will worship their family before they worship God. They'll be family-centered and not God-centered. And so, they'll be working tireless jobs, hard jobs, breaking their backs for a little bit of pay, sometimes working multiple jobs, just to keep up with this whole thing of wanting to satisfy their own senses and their family's senses. Oftentimes trying to go for more money than what's actually necessary for themselves. So they'll make this their whole worship. And all things considered, oftentimes these families have so many different problems that come along with it. Some things, due to different ways of thinking, beliefs, poor communication, or so many other things, even the little things. Oh, you left the toilet seat up, so now there's a problem with that, or this or that. There's always going to be some type of problem within the family, oftentimes, even over the littlest things. And these people are working so hard and making this their whole object of worship, even if they're getting spat at practically, they're getting cussed out, they're being poorly treated, it's still their object of worship. So they're still thinking, let's go here, let's go there, let's throw a party, let's buy this, let's buy that. So many unnecessary things. But if you try to ask them to read, to meditate, or mention anything spiritual, oftentimes you get two types of responses of, I don't got time, or I got other responsibilities I need to focus on right now. Maybe another time, but right now I have responsibilities. So I gotta work. I don't got time for this, that. But then after giving you all these excuses, oftentimes they'll make time for other things. For example, I know someone, and I asked if maybe they could read at least a little bit. They have Bhagavad Gita. I was like, maybe if at least once a day or so often, you read a verse and a purport. That's generally only a minute or two out of your day. But still, they're like, I don't got time. I'm so busy with my work. I'm so busy with things I need to do. But then that same person will go and make time to go out for the whole day in the desert with their friends, or whole day doing this or whole day doing that for hours, but they couldn't spare 2 minutes. So oftentimes this is the case with people, is I don't got time or I got responsibilities, but they'll make time for other things. But the sad thing, however, with that being said, is that even if the family life goes very nicely, you have a nice wife, you guys really do love each other a lot, and you guys been through a lot, and that person stuck by you through it all. You have really respectable children, they do great in school, this, that. You got a nice house, you got good friends, you got the whole thing going for you. So even if it does all happen so nicely, there's still going to be disease, old age, and death, of which your family cannot save you from any of those things. Ultimately, we think they're going to be our protection, they're going to save us, but ultimately they're not going to be able to save us from these type of things. So, maybe you have a serious medical problem and you end up in a coma. Now you're in a coma for months on end, some maybe even years. There's cases where people are in coma for years. So where's your family life there? Or, you get old, your family can't take care of you, so maybe they put you in a nursing home, and it's not such a nice nursing home, and your family rarely comes to visit you because they don't got time, or whatever reason it may be. And then ultimately, death is going to come a lot sooner than you may think. It can come at any moment, regardless of your age, your health, how rich you are, how nice you are. No matter all these different considerations, death is going to come at some point or another. Maybe soon, maybe later. I just got a text last night from a friend. That old friend that we grew up with back in school, he died in an accident yesterday in the morning. Hope by Krishna's mercy that he brings him closer in this next life and that his family gets well through it all. But, he's like the same age as me. He was a real sweet kid, really sweet kid. Everyone liked him back in school. He was really sweet, really loving. His family had a lot of affection for him. But it just goes to show that death is right there. People die younger than that. I went to school with, and I knew kids that some overdosed or other things, and they didn't even make it to graduate. Death is always right there. Whether it's in old age or while you're young, death is going to be right there. So everyone's making all these plans and like they're never going to die. You hear so many people say like next year, next month, this, that, which, good. We should have an idea of what we're trying to do, but oftentimes we're coming up with all of these plans for our own enjoyment, as if we're not going to die. Even though these people see death everywhere, they see death everywhere. Whether it's the insects that you've killed, or you see a dead animal on the side of the road, your friends or your family that just passed away, or for that matter, if you just go through a grocery store, you'll see packages of meat where an animal had to die. There's death everywhere, at every corner. Yet we don't contemplate these things of death coming to us or death coming to those around us. So people are thinking, and we're thinking, that this is never going to happen to us. Well, that happened and all, but next year I got this plan. The year after that I got this plan. This is how my life's planned to go. But that's not promised. Oftentimes those plans fall through the roof, even if you do make it to live that long. So all these works to satisfy our senses, mistaking the material senses to be ourselves. We commit this mistake and similar mistakes life after life. We're coming up with all of these different ideas. Maybe if I do this, I'll enjoy my life a little bit better. Maybe if I do that, my life will be a little bit easier. By the time I'm this age, or by the time I reach this, things will be going good. And we're just getting caught up in all of these ideas. And at that point, we're living more in our head at that point than we're even living in the material, outside physical world. We're living up in our mind of concocting all these ideas and what the life should be and how it will be, or what happened in the past. So it's not even really what's happening right now that we're focused on and what we're living in. We're living through our past. We're focusing on all these things that happened in the past, things that, you know, we hold on to or disliked or whatever. And we're focused on the future. We're focused on what am I going to do? How am I going to get there? What's going to happen? This, that. And we're like missing out on like what's happening right here, right now. So we're lamenting on the past and we're trying to plan our future oftentimes. And so even in the material sense, we're missing out on life right here. And through what we do right now is going to determine what our past is going to be. And it's also going to determine how our future is going to end up. But we're not in that present moment doing what we can do right here, right now, oftentimes. So while we have the time, we should be serious to find out what is it that we should be doing with our time and who should be our main focus and where should we put our energy towards. We're going to put our focus on somebody. That could be ourselves, that could be our partner, that could be someone we idolize, that could be our boss. We're going to have someone that we're choosing to put our focus on. And we're going to spend our time and our energy in whatever we're choosing to do with our life. Maybe it's our career, maybe it's our family, maybe it's to do this or to do that, but either way, you're going to end up doing one of these things. So where to do that, that's the question. And actually, this is where human life begins. It's starting to ask questions like this. Because just like the first verse of the Vedanta Sutra, it stated that Tato Brahma Jigyasa, that now is the time to acquire. You receive this human form where you could contemplate things. You know, other species of life, they're conscious, but they're not really self-conscious in a sense. They're conscious and they're able to act and live and, you know, do things. Plants are conscious, animals are conscious, but humans are able to really sit there and reflect on things, really think deeply about things. So we have that ability, but if we're not using that ability, then what's the use of having that gift? Why don't we just have an animal body instead? If we just want to focus on living for our senses without this deep contemplations. So for time immemorial, people from all over the world throughout so many different cultures they've been saying the same thing, that there's something beyond this body, something beyond this reality, whether that's on the Brahman realization or, you know, that there's something more than this. There's like eternal aspect. It's all pervasive. Whether that's the Paramatma realization or God's within the heart of everyone. God's within me, God's within you, God's within all this creation, or the Bhagavan realization, or that there's a supreme personality of Godhead, and we come from Him all, and He's the source of everything. So they're all everywhere in the world, in different cultures, they have some type of realization like this, that every culture and place is saying that there's something more than this life and this body. You hear about, like in China, you hear about like Taoism, that there's this eternal Tao, that which cannot be named, and that we return to this eternal Tao, and it's the all pervasiveness that controls this material world. Then you have different cultures like throughout the Americas and throughout like the Abrahamic traditions, where they talk about there being a specific God, and that He's the source of things. So it's all over the world, even if there's no contact between these cultures, but it's all over the world. Some form of spirituality, some form of religion or realization. So through the Vedic literatures we've been given, such as Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, we come, we realize that we come from a supreme personality from which everything emanates. That we're eternally individuals, not Dvevaham Jatu Nasam Natam. There was a time that I didn't exist, nor you. And that we have a relationship with that supreme personality. And that relationship is one of love in which we've forgotten. So learning who that supreme personality is, what he's like, and how to reestablish that lost loving relationship. This is how we should spend our life. This is how we should spend our time. This is how we should spend our intelligence that we've been gifted. Any other activities simply bind us to the material world, birth after birth. If I'm thinking on this body, on these senses, I'm creating karma through my activities, actually, because I'm not acting on the platform of the soul, of myself. I'm acting incorrectly, and therefore I'm going to receive good or bad results from whatever activities that is. And because I'm receiving good and bad results, that means I'm going to have to accept the body that could receive those good and bad results. So maybe it's good, maybe I become a demigod. That's cool. I get to control some form of material energy. I got more beauty. I live a lot longer. This is that. But eventually those pious deeds are going to run out and you're going to take on a different body, not a demigod body, maybe a human body, maybe something else. And, bad misdeeds, I'm going to suffer somehow or another. Whether it's in the human form that I suffer, animal form, or being taken to a place where I have to really pay out my misdeeds. So, one way, shape, or form, these activities that are contrary to my Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan meaning eternal, and Dharma meaning my intrinsic nature, that which cannot be taken away from me, which is that loving devotion to Krishna, to God, that supreme personality. So if I'm not acting within that, then I'm going to receive some type of results. I'm going to receive some type of body. So this process begins with Shravanam Kirtanam, hearing and chanting. Hearing from a bona fide source and chanting the Supreme Personality, chanting about the Supreme Personality of God, whether that's Krishna's holy name, His fame, His pastimes, or His glories. This is where we begin at Shravanam Kirtanam. So, you approach someone who does know this knowledge, because we can't just come to the knowledge on our own. People try that so often. That's actually a big basis of people, especially nowadays, where it's a less religious society, but we still have that tendency to want to come up with some meaning to this world. We may reject religion, we may reject spirituality, but we're still going to come up with whatever idea we think of this world. So you got so many philosophers that they come up with. This is the meaning of the life, or this is the meaning of life, and this is the meaning of life. So you got so many famous philosophers due to that, and so many different followers of those philosophers, or people that are coming up with their own philosophy, taking a little bit from this, taking a little bit from that. This makes sense, that don't make sense. So they come up, concoct their own religion or their own spirituality, their own philosophy. But who says that they're right in this concoction or this melting pot of different beliefs and ideas and philosophies? In the conditioned sense, we have 4 defects. We're bound to cheat. We're bound to make mistakes. We have imperfect senses. And what am I forgetting? Yes, thank you. We have the tendency to forget. Perfect example right there. So we have these 4 defects. Every single one of us conditioned souls. We forget. We have the propensity to cheat. All of these different things. So we're taking instruction for people that really don't know. They just came up with their own. They're like, you know what? I found it out. Let me tell you what I think. And you're like, wow, that's great stuff right there. But what's their qualification? How are they living? What is the result of that? Oftentimes it's not really that pretty. They're still doing all kinds of nonsense or sinful activity. And even if they're not really doing all that, what's the result ultimately? Without much information about this material world and the spiritual world, their destination's unknown. So we must approach someone who knows the science. And God, Krishna, he's so merciful that he comes down so many different times, so that he can reestablish that which has been lost, this science of God, the science of that relationship which we've forgotten. Because after so much time, people start twisting things, people start coming up with their own ideas, or they just altogether just toss the science to the side and they reject it. So he's so merciful that he comes down so many different times to teach us this knowledge and reestablish this relationship. And what his real mercy is through that is that he gives us a disciplined succession. He teaches someone in such a way that they take that and they gift that same thing to someone else without adding or subtracting. They don't put their own ideas into it. They just say it as is, verbatim. Or the essence. They at least give the essence of what they were taught. If they can't remember verbatim, at least the essence without adding or subtracting anything. So then that person, they take that and they they share that with someone, and so forth and so forth and so forth. So if we really want to know the science, we should approach someone within that disciplined succession, someone that could really lead us back to Krishna, back to his true knowledge of the self and this material world and the ultimate goal of life, leading all the way back up to Krishna, who originally taught this science. And this can be done. Simply by beginning with reading Srila Prabhupada's books. He is coming within that line of disciplined succession, and he's taken these really important scriptures that were written in Sanskrit and given us it in English, and now they're in so many different languages. He gives a purport in accordance to the previous acharyas, the previous spiritual teachers coming before even him. It's not just his own writing solely. He's going based off of what they said, and then he's applying it to where you could understand it in your new and modern day sense. And we need the association of devotees, those that are walking that same path, following the same teachings that could kind of guide us when we're going off stray, or someone to really give us that enthusiasm to keep on going and keep learning these things. Because association, if you're in the wrong association, they'll lead you astray, even if you try not to be wrongly led astray. One way, shape, or form, too much association, they'll lead you astray, even if it's just one type of thought. That thought leads to another, which leads to another, which leads to a whole going astray to what you're trying to do. So that's important. And another really important thing that we've been gifted, especially pushed forward by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the last coming of Krishna at 500 years ago, is the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. The Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Because in this age of Kali, it is said that Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, that in this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, there's no other means of deliverance besides the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. There's no other way, there's no other way, there's no other way. Repeat it 3 times. Oftentimes, things are important in Vedic literature are repeated 3 different times, or they're repeated at least several different times. And it's repeated 3 times also because fruitive activities is not going to get you to the supreme destination. Mental speculation and concoction isn't going to get you to the ultimate destination. And just performance of mystic yoga or so forth isn't going to get you to the ultimate destination. It's the chanting of the holy names of the Lord, which are not different from the Lord. And this is the Lord's mercy, that He's given us these names which clear our heart, it opens up our heart, it clears it so that we may see things in the proper position and come to that reawakening of that lost relationship with Krishna, with God Himself. So we're given all these different gifts. We're given these different processes. That way we can actually use this human form of life in the proper sense, in a way that's going to benefit us. And not just us, but it benefits everyone included. If a person becomes a devotee, generations before and after them become delivered. Just by chanting the names, people all around, even insects, plants, germs, whatever it may be, they get benefit. You give someone prasadam, they get benefit. Just everyone, as soon as you become a devotee and devote yourself to Krishna, everyone around you becomes benefited in one way, shape, or form. So it's not just you that you're helping so many other people within this process. And that's the beauty of Krishna consciousness, is it's not just I'm going to go to a cave and I'm going to meditate and forget the rest of society. It's learning that relationship, sharing that relationship. And even if you're not a big preacher or so forth, some way you're still contributing to the welfare of everyone around you. That's the beauty of this Krishna conscious movement. That's the beauty of what Prabhupada gave to us. So we shouldn't uselessly spend this human form of life solely chasing after a partner and children, all the material consciousness that comes with that, having to work to maintain that and defending that. This is that. As I said previously, it's different if it's within the proper context of Krishna consciousness and going about it properly. But in the material sense of making this your whole life and all that, ultimately you're going to lose all that anyway at death. Or you'll lose it before you die. So don't waste time worshiping things that are not going to give you the ultimate benefit and which are not going to last. Worship that which is eternal, that which is in line with our Sanatana Dharma, our eternal nature as spiritual being emanating from the Supreme Personality. So I think we'll end here if anybody has any questions or comments. Yes, Chandrika.
Seems like the highest worry that people have in the world is time. And, of course, we see that time, that people are stressed out about time, with their work or with their daily lives, how to manage their time. People get an anxiety about that. And then they say, I don't have time, my time, but really time doesn't belong to anybody. Mm-hmm. As Krishna says, time I am, time is Krishna. So how can people really understand that concept? As you said, people's lives are taken by time, young lives are taken, and that is all to do with time as well. That's the allotted time that they had at that point. But how can people understand that time doesn't belong to them, but Krishna is time, and of course it gives us intelligence to utilize our time properly for devotional service, in Krishna's service, because that's who time belongs to. How can people really understand that concept and give up that feeling that the time belongs to them?
The idea that time belongs to them. That's a good question. Yeah, that's a really good question. Everybody's concerned about time. I mean, if you go out on books, you really hear that phrase all the time. I'm sorry, I don't got time. I gotta do this, I gotta do that. I think about that while I'm out on books at the campus. They're like, I gotta get to class and all that. I was like, man, back when I was over there on campus, I wasn't worried about that. I was like, I'm sure like a couple minutes late, you're not going to get in trouble with the teacher. But the way to help them understand that depends what approach you want to go with. If they're spiritual to some extent, or they have some understanding, there's one way. But in another sense, in the material sense, there's another way too. So in the material sense, really, it's teaching them like really where are you spending that time? And even when you try to plan out your whole schedule, it's not always going to happen the way you plan it. Oftentimes that will fall through, and oftentimes we see that and people get so frustrated by it. Like, I was supposed to do this, I was supposed to do that today, this is that. So it's kind of learning that one doesn't have that control, that things aren't going to go as planned. How to get them to quite understand it in a material sense, kind of a little bit harder because they're real stuck to this idea. And in a spiritual sense, you worry about all these different things, but in the end, what is it really going to matter? You could approach all these different things and try to make all these different plans, but oftentimes these things aren't going to matter. And if you really want to get things done, Krishna will give you the time to make it done. As my Gurudev once said to someone, if you made it a priority, you'd get it done. And I think Lolita may have something to add to this or something to add.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to say, I mean, you could always remind them, actually, you have all the time in the world, you're an eternal spirit soul. And so, but then they can always come back, well, then why should I do this now?
You don't have to do this now. If you really want birth, death, old age, disease, be my guest.
There you go.
That's up to you.
There you go.
If you want to suffer, go ahead. I'm not going to stop you. But if you would like to stop, I'll help you out in whatever way I can. But yeah, that's a difficult one. This is the thing you hear about a lot, is this whole concept of, I don't got time. Like I said, with this person I knew, they wouldn't even spend like 2 or 3 minutes, but then they'll like plan their own time to go out for hours on end to do something that they think is valuable. So it's really, where are you putting your, where are you deciding to put that time and that effort? Where are you deciding, what is it that you're deciding is a priority in your life? I think that's a bigger one. Is what are you making a priority? And all of these other things that you're planning really necessary. All right, anybody else before we close up? All right, I think we'll end here. Kantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.